Today, for our daily cancellation, we go on a journey, and we'll no doubt find many people to cancel along the way. It starts right where I most want to be, up in the sky, with the unidentified aerial phenomena, otherwise known as UFOs. The headlines that we've seen regarding this subject over the past 12 hours have been seemingly designed to cause me emotional trauma. Speaking of trauma, here's the New York Times. Headline, quote, "Government report finds no evidence UFOs were alien spacecraft." I'm starting to feel some PTSD. Many other headlines making the same declaration. Now, I want to read a little bit of this Times article to you. And please note how the headline is supposedly that there's no evidence of aliens, but the real news to me is quite a bit different. Here's what it says. American intelligence officials have found no evidence that aerial phenomena witnessed by Navy pilots in recent years are alien spacecraft. But they still cannot explain the unusual movements that have mystified scientists and the military, according to senior administration officials briefed on the findings of a highly anticipated government report. The report determines that the vast majority of more than 120 incidents over the past 2 decades did not originate from any American military or other advanced U.S. government technology. That determination would appear to eliminate the possibility that Navy pilots who reported seeing unexplained aircraft might have encountered programs the government meant to keep secret. But that's about the only conclusive finding in the classified intelligence report. And while a forthcoming unclassified version expected to be released to Congress by June 25th will present a few other firm conclusions, senior officials briefed on the intelligence conceded that the very ambiguity of the findings meant the government could not definitively rule out theories that the phenomenon observed by military pilots might be alien spacecraft. Okay, so what's the real headline here? It seems to me the headline is that this technology definitely is not our own. Our government has no idea where it's from, and they can't rule out the possibility that it originates from a different solar system. So no, the headline is they've ruled out one explanation, and they didn't rule out the alien explanation. So we had a few possible explanations for this. I don't know, 3 or 4. One of them is now gone, and it's not. The alien one is still on the table. We're still alive, alien believers. We're still in business. Now, call me crazy, but the government can't rule out possibility that mysterious foreign technology is from outer space is bigger news than the government has no direct evidence of aliens. Now, both are true, of course, but the former headline seems to capture the news a little bit better, in my opinion. Now, I don't want to focus today on the alien hypothesis only. I've focused on that plenty. I'll continue to provide top-notch alien content to you in the future as we await the report, which, by the way, I did realize a couple days ago to my horror that if this report comes out on June 25th, I'm not going to be here. I'm going on vacation at the end of the month, and I'll be gone for, like 8 or 9 days. It'd be just my luck if the damn report comes out like on the first day of my vacation. Because, if I'm here and the report comes out, we're doing a week on aliens. Oh, yes. It's happening. That'll be just my luck. And you know what's going to happen? I'm going to go on vacation. The alien report comes out, and I'm going to have to say to my wife, listen, I got to go. I have something I need to do. And I'm going to have to drive back here and leave her wherever we are so we can talk about aliens. I'm sure she'll understand. Remember, like I told you, my wife is a big believer in aliens. Wink, wink. Now, anyway, for now, though, just for the sake of argument, I want to take into consideration, let's just take into consideration this idea that, putting aliens aside, that the flying objects may have more earthly origins. So going back to the Times article, this is what they say about that. Intelligence officials believe at least some of the aerial phenomena could be experimental technology from a rival power, most likely Russia or China. One senior official briefed on the intelligence said without hesitation that U.S. officials knew it was not American technology. He said there was worry among intelligence and military officials that China or Russia could be experimenting with hypersonic technology. Russia has been investing heavily in hypersonics, believing the technology offers the ability to evade American missile defense technology. China has also developed hypersonic weaponry and included it in military parades. If the phenomena were Chinese or Russian aircraft, officials said it would suggest that two powers' hypersonic research has far outpaced American military development. Now, as much as I hate to admit it, it does seem that the China-Russia theory is maybe the more likely, more plausible explanation. Okay, now that doesn't make the more entertaining alien hypothesis implausible. At least the Russia-China thing is the more plausible explanation for some of the sightings. We should keep in mind that there have been sightings all over the world. So this is not just one thing we're talking about. It's not as though every single UFO has to come from the same place, whether that be a place on Earth or elsewhere. But let's really think about the possibility that a foreign country, likely an adversary, an enemy, has developed military technology so advanced that our military has to at least entertain the possibility that it's not even from this planet. This all seems to create a rather frightening context for stories like this from the New York Post. It says, quote, "The Pentagon defended the military's diversity and inclusion training programs amid a torrent of criticism, saying they're essential for recruiting the right people in its duty to defend the nation." Pentagon spokesman John Kirby was asked during Tuesday's briefing about GOP lawmakers creating sites urging whistleblowers in the armed services to expose progressive diversity training programs, some of which have reportedly deemed white people, quote, "inherently evil." So that was the question. Let's listen now to John Kirby's answer, explaining why the military needs to focus on diversity and inclusion and tolerance and equity, and why that makes us safer. Let's listen.
Some Republican lawmakers have been attacking various efforts on the diversity inclusion front in the military, complaining about the stand-down order earlier this spring. Some have started a system on social media for active duty troops to file complaints about the so-called woke media military. What is your observation or comment on that?
Well, these are members of Congress, Jennifer. We respect their rights and their responsibilities. We certainly respect the oversight that Congress provides. I'm not going to comment on any specific one initiative that members of Congress might be doing. I think that's more appropriate for them to speak to. What I can speak to is what we're really focused on here at the department, and that's defending the nation. And that means putting in place the right resources, the right strategies, the right operational concepts to do that around the world.
So diversity and inclusion are essential to defending our nation, he says. And he's indeed accurately communicating the Defense Department's operating principle. In fact, as the DoD-affiliated website Military One Source explains in a recent article, quote, "The diverse makeup of the armed forces is one of its greatest assets. When service members of different races, ethnicities, religions, sexual orientations, and other identities unite for a common mission, the result is a stronger and more effective force. To ensure continued progress, the DoD has established the Independent Defense Advisory Committee on Diversity and Inclusion in the Armed Forces. This committee will continue the work of examining any and all issues that will improve equal opportunity, diversity, and inclusion in the military. Diverse and inclusive ranks are essential to morale, force cohesion, and readiness." Now, as always, there is no attempt to provide evidence supporting the assertion that a diverse and inclusive military is more effective. Whenever anyone in a position of authority is put on the spot about this, they always dissemble, they obfuscate. As the Pentagon spokesman did in the clip we just played, they start talking about how the military needs to find the best people for the job, etc. And yeah, they do. That's the point. But what they don't explain is how the military finds the most talented and competent people for the job by hiring and recruiting based on something other than talent and competence. If you care more about finding the best people, then you would simply recruit and train the best people, whatever they look like, whatever sex they might be. If you end up with a diverse military as a byproduct of your focus on skill and competence, then great. If you, let's say, end up with a military comprised almost entirely of straight men, that's great too. However it shakes out is fine because the people you have on board are the best of the best. Diversity, again, should be a byproduct, if anything, not the goal, not a litmus test. But that's not how our military's top brass see it. They're putting out ads featuring sorority girls with lesbian moms, and the CIA is bragging about hiring women with anxiety disorders, and they're sending military members and intelligence officers to mandatory sensitivity training courses and critical race theory brainwashing sessions because they believe that the ultimate mission of these institutions is to support progressive social causes. That's what they believe. Meanwhile, China and Russia are finding the very best and toughest people that their nations have to offer and setting them to the task of defending their country and expanding their empires, and even potentially developing technology that looks like it's from another galaxy. In comparison with that, we are committing an act of national suicide. We're not the first nation to kill itself, but we may be the first to do it so intentionally and abruptly and quickly and through such bizarre means. In short, I would like to once again send out a plea to the aliens to take me with you before you leave to go back to your home planet. Because I know eventually you're leaving. Because you got to be sick of this. And please allow my wife and kids to come too. I haven't consulted them about this, but I think they'll adjust, and ultimately they'll thank me for it, and everyone would be better off. As for who I'm canceling, well, I guess the Pentagon, the media for continuing to doubt the alien hypothesis, just canceling everyone, which is how I like to end every week on a Friday. And we'll leave it there. Listen, hit that subscribe button right now. Do it right now. I thank you for your compliance. It is somewhat appreciated.